What's going on, guys? This is Miasin. So I haven't made, again, the Tearlaments branded deck profile in a while, so I wanted to update it to make it a little more up-to-date with the knowledge that I now have on the deck. So I think it greatly improved since last time, but if you still have any suggestions, feel free to let us all know in the comment section below. And of course, before any of the explanations begin, friendly reminder to like and subscribe, check me out on Twitch and Instagram, etc. Let's try to get this video to 1,000 likes because I will be making a live stream on this deck as soon as we hit it. And now let's get right into it. Alright, so the only Shaddoll monster I play is Shaddoll Beast. You could theoretically play 2 Shaddoll Beast or play, let's say, Shaddoll Beast and Squamata. That definitely is possible. I just don't really want to draw them too often. 3 Shaylin as well as 3 of the Haffinas. These are the mandatory 3-ofs that you really have to play any Tearlaments build, honestly. So Shaylin can special summon itself, and then you have to send a monster from the hand to the graveyard. So you can only summon it if you have another monster in your hand, otherwise you just can't. And then obviously you foolish the top 3 cards from your deck to the grave, and obviously has the exact same graveyard effect as Haffinas and Meru. So when it's sent to the grave by a card effect, you can fuse using it as well as any other monster from a graveyard, hand, or field. So very, very good card. And that's also 1800 attack. So if you get the boost of the field spell, you can jump over Winda. Very relevant. Anyways, we also have the Despia monsters, which I don't believe I had before. So now I'm playing 1 Tragedy, which could actually be just another Eluber, and the 1 Eluber. So I wanted to play branded opening so I could easily special summon them from the deck. And I didn't want to have too many normal summons because I already have Reno Heart and Meru. And Tragedy is a very good card to hard draw because if you can discard it with Shaylin or branded opening, you're gonna get a lot of value. So it's just a really good card overall, and also makes Foolish Burial better. Alright, the Luber, definitely a good card that you have to play at 1 if you're trying to play branded opening with branded fusion. 1 Fallen of Albaz, that's way more than enough because King of the Swamp can also be Fallen of Albaz if you want to. 1 Reno Heart, again, you already have way too many normal summons in the form of, I guess, just a Luber and this. Oh, and I guess Meru can be a normal summon sometimes. It really depends. If your hand really sucks, then maybe. No, Reno Heart is good. It's just that I think 1 is way more than enough, to be honest. It doesn't have necessarily the best graveyard effect, but it is what it is. You can recycle it back very easily. So that's why, you don't really have to hard draw it any, ever, because you can easily search it with Foolish Burial, the triple field spell, and when Salik is sent to the grave. Anyways, 3 King of the Swamp with 1 Polymerization. You could also play 2 Poly if you want to. That works. 3 Ash, that's my only hand shot because I just wanted to stop like branded fusion cards and stuff like that, the other hand shops can't really stop, and Dark Ruler takes care of the monster boards anyways. So this is probably the perfect combination of board-breaking cards, as well as Super Poly, of course, because there is now the new Super Poly target, which is Garua, Wings of Resonant Life. 2 monsters with the same type and attribute, but different names. But yeah, I'll go into details more, later on, even though it's not really something that we really have to take 10 years to explain. But yeah, double Meru, that's also way more than enough at 2, because if you draw like 10 billion copies of Meru, you're not doing much. It's a card that you kind of have to normal summon if you draw it, or fuse using Poly or something like that, I don't know, or discard it with Shaylin, but it's not necessarily the best. Obviously, if you draw it, if you hard draw it, then your Kid Kalos can search the Meta Noise, and then you summon the Meru from the hand, so that's actually really good. But when you have nothing at all, Meru is probably one of the worst ones to draw. So anyways, 19 monsters, a lot of spell cards, so this deck does unfortunately lose a bit to anti-spell, which is funny because the Shizu Tearlaments doesn't lose to anti-spell at all. So even in the same kind of deck, Tearlaments, the builds are so much completely different that they have ridiculously different weaknesses. And the one weakness that this deck has would be D-Barrier post-game 1. Like, I'm only playing 1 non-fusion monster, which is Redoer, or could be Dweller, or whatever. Redoer is just a staple in the deck because it triggers the effect of the Tearlaments monster that you detach. But yeah, no, D-Barrier Culling Fusion is huge. And yeah, triple branded fusion just creates that weakness because I can only summon fusions from my extra deck during the turn I activate this, not even for the rest of the turn, during the turn. So I can't just start with non-fusions instead, and then end with branded fusion. It's like the opposite of Fusion Destiny. 1 Terraforming, so we play 4 field spells with the Foolish Burial, Call by the Grave, no shit. Double branded opening, and then 2 of the trap cards, so 1 Meta Noise and 1 Salik. You could theoretically play Crime, it's just that it's not the best. Like, it's a big setup, and you have no guarantee of really doing much with it. So obviously, if you're going first in game 2 and 3, then it makes a lot of sense. Just a good Omni Negate to have, and it's searchable, but it's a little neggy, and it has literally the worst graveyard effect because it recycles back from your banished. Whereas like this is the best because it searches from the deck to the hand. But yeah, anyways, 40 cards in the main deck, and now for the extra deck. One Guardian Chimera, the only way to make it, I believe, would be using... I don't know if you can necessarily use this from your hand. Yeah, no, I don't think you can actually use Lubellion to make it, but I think Albion would work to make Guardian Chimera. You can use either Polymerization or Albion, I think. I'm not sure. This card is ridiculously overpowered. You can chain block like crazy, going Chainlink 1 Chimera, and then Chainlink 2, 3, 4, whatever your Tearlaments monsters. Summon 10 billion fusions in one shot and kill your opponent. One Kaleido Heart, this card is really, really good to send with your Salic. It's insane because then you revive back your Kaleido Heart, and then you Foolish for another Tearlaments monster with Kaleido Heart's effect. And when either it is special summoned, or another Aqua monster is sent to the grave by a card effect while this card is on the field, you can shuffle back a card your opponent controls. Ridiculously good. But it's a little hard to summon, so 1 is way more than enough. It's not your starter, unlike Kid Kalos. Now we play the 1 Mirror Jade, 1 Starving Venom with double Dragos Tapelia. This is purely just a Super Poly target, whereas this is a Super Poly target and a monster you actually summon. So using any Tearlaments with basically any fusion monster. And again, it's a really, really good negate on the field for a lot of reasons that I've already explained. Anyways, Lubellion, Albion with the Garura, double Kid Kalos, Winda, Mudragon of the Swamp. It's somewhat similar to Garura, but a little different. The Garura is really good against decks that... they're all from the same archetype. They all have like the same typing, same attribute, but obviously different names. Whereas Mudragon of the Swamp, not really. It's like two monsters with the same attribute, but with different types. I can't really think of like that many decks that necessarily always lose to Mudragon of the Swamp, where I can actually think of a lot of decks that would lose to Garura. Anyways, Millenniumizer Strict that you can either make with Instant Fusion, or any Tearlaments with King of the Swamp, and finally Redoer. But yeah, Garura can be used against Splight when they have Dupe Frog as well as Toad, so you go into battle phase, fuse these two away, and then jump over the Splight Elf, because it only has 1400 attack and Garura has 15, and then on main phase 2, your opponent has basically no negate, and you still have Garura on the field, and you can normal summon literally anything, make, let's say, a Needle Fiber or whatever, and then chain block, draw in card with Garura, so it's ridiculously good. Anyways, 40, 15, and for the idea section, not much that is really worth covering, honestly. Token Collector is actually a ridiculously good card to mail, because obviously when you mail with Meru and Kid Kalos, the odds of seeing Token Collector are really high. So if people are crazy and still want to play Sword Soul, yo, 1 Token Collector is way more than enough. And also you can play Zombie World with the the Banshee. So that's also very easy to get in your grave. But at the same time, you could mail the Zombie World. So I think you would have to play 1 Banshee with double Zombie World so that the odds are lower. Anyways, more hand traps, another Kaleido Heart for no reason at all. Anoyatilis, which is basically impossible to summon because you need a water monster with a Shadal, so good luck getting there. All of the Tearlaments monsters that fuse are dark. The only one that is not dark is Reno Heart, but it doesn't fuse, so who cares? Unless you have like Polymerization, which is very obscure. Anyways, Dragoon, Al Capone. You could actually play the Artemate Slay in the main deck and play like more Shadal cards with like Schism and stuff like that. I just don't really think it makes sense. Anyways, Invoke Kaliga, this is like very similar to Millenniumizer Strict, so basically the exact same summoning conditions. You need an effect monster and a monster that you don't play, but again, King of the Swamp is that monster. So yeah, any Tearlaments and King of the Swamp is either Kaliga or Millenniumizer Strict. It really is up to you, but yeah, there are a lot of really nasty things you can do with Kaliga. And monsters that you'll never summon, so Access Code, Selene, Dark, Cosmic. Well, I mean, these are the monsters, and now, of course, Cosmic to out Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine really annoying, and then Deck Devastation Virus. Post game 1, you always win against Splight, and that's the beauty about Tearlaments. Even though it might not necessarily always have the best game 1, it has the best game 2 and game 3 out of just about any other deck out there. So that's pretty much it for this deck profile. Let me know your thoughts about this deck in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.